Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on April 22nd, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of the news here, we had mixed data out of UK. The number of applications were down, but the earnings have gone down, which is to be expected, and unemployment rate has gone up slightly, but I figured next month it would actually show a bigger difference. And in terms of everything, what else is going on in the market? We are seeing oil just completely tank right now. So we were looking at the oil futures here, and today was the day of the expiries, futures contract expiries, and that's why it's the May contract expired, but the June contract as well. People are just dumping it. Looks like there is a lot of uncertainty or fear in traders in terms of the contracts, futures contracts here for oil. So oil has dropped considerably. With the in terms of what's driving it, one is lack of demand. Demand has really gone down with all the economies around the world shutting down or people being in lockdown, a lot of businesses closing for the time being. The demand has dropped considerably. So even with OPEC and Russia, Saudi Arabia cutting production, hasn't really made much of a difference in terms of the oil prices. And then other than that, we are seeing a lot of storage facilities for the oils. They are getting full now, so there's really no place for this oil to be stored. So that's really making the problem worse. And on top of that, now traders are spooking, and today again was a big drop in oil. So we'll have to be careful. Oil is really volatile right now. Other than that, we saw U.S. has passed another stimulus plan to support, I think it was about $450 billion of plan, or 500, something around that. So ton of money to support small businesses, individuals, and so forth during this tough time. Other than that, we saw that the equity markets have dropped. So the fear from the oil is actually seeping into other asset classes. So we have seen equity markets drop as well as a result of that. And of course, when equities drop, we see the safe haven assets tend to go up. So our yen crosses, they dropped because yen is stronger now, as well as Swiss franc. So that's an overall view of what happened today. Coming up tomorrow here, we have CPI numbers from UK, Canada. And in this case, basically, we are expecting a drop in terms of the CPI numbers. And again, the thing would be if the numbers are worse than what's expected, we could see a drop in the currency. Now with Canadian dollar, the problem is with the oil price being low, Canadian dollar takes a hit. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, we have crude oil inventory. So it looks like there's going to be a buildup again. And if the buildup is bigger than what's expected here, we could see a negative impact on Canadian dollar as well as on oil. And then we have manufacturing PMI numbers out of Australia. They were below expectations last time. And should that trend continue, we are likely to see a negative impact on Australian dollar. So that's it in terms of the news. Not much in terms of the highly important news, but the CPI numbers are something we have to watch out for. So let's go on to the charts now. We'll start off with euro dollar here. So euro, yesterday we were looking for a drop. We see that price came right into the support area, and then it bounced off of that. Today's candle close is a neutral candle. So now we'll have to see which direction this wants to move in. As we can see here, price has been stuck in this range for last few days here. And now what I'm looking for is to see which direction it wants to break towards. we saw that British pound was strong and euro was weak. Now we may see a flip of that, so keep an eye on that. But basically what I'm looking for is potential retest of the low, and if price holds above that, so above 1.0820, I will look for a move towards the high, and should it get through, then it can go all the way to that, to the top there. So right now, my bias is neutral. At this point, I will just wait and see where it wants to go. Pound dollar here, this one has had a nice drop. It went right through the first target, came very close to the second target here. We have a nice bearish candle close here, just like this one. So looking for a further drop here. And in terms of the target, first target is still 1.2220, so 122.20, and below that I'm looking at 1.21 2160-ish level here, and we may get a pullback, so keep an eye out for the pullback. If we get a shallow pullback, then I'm looking at 1.2330 and a drop. Now we could get a deeper pullback too, so just see where it wants to pull back to. But overall, I am looking for a drop, so bias is bearish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one is, we were looking for a drop. We got that right into our first target, so bias is still bearish. Now keep in mind though, we are into support here. So if price does not break through 0.6260 level here, we could see price go back up. So be mindful of that, because this has also been trading in a bit of a range here. It could go back up. So right now, bias is bearish. I would just keep an eye on the support here. We do need to see a break for it to continue lower. And the move that I'm anticipating is a potential pullback into 0.6320 and then a further drop. And target is 0.6200. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one's looking bearish. We were looking for a drop, so we got that almost into the first target here. So bearish bias. Next target is to the downside, and we're looking at 0.5880 as the first target and 0.5820 as the second target. Dollar CAD here, this one looks bullish. We were looking for a bullish move. We got that. Now, price is into resistance, so we do need to watch out for that. And we can see with all these dollar crosses here, price is starting to come into support or resistance level. So keep an eye on that, because if it doesn't go through this resistance level, we could see a move back down, just like we saw in this area. So we need to be careful with that. But in terms of a pullback, I would look at 1.4180. If price holds above that, then we could see a further move to the upside, something similar to this. So for now, bias is bullish. But we could get a deeper pullback. So second pullback, potential pullback level would be 1.4150. So those are the two levels there to keep an eye on. First target here is 1.4265 and then 1.4340. So bullish bias for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at our commodities here. We'll start with silver. Silver, yesterday we were looking for a drop. We got that, moved even lower than what I was expecting here. So now bias is still bearish, but as we can see, it did retrace from our support level here. So we do need to be careful here. We could get a pullback into 15 or 15.05 and then a drop here. So bearish bias still, but just with caution, because it can, again, bounce off of this 1450. So 1450 is the first target, and then 14.20 is the second target here for silver. Gold here, this one dropped just like we had talked about yesterday. Now we do have a big pin to the downside, which means a price pushed higher. It did go low, but then it's back up again. So this one, bias is neutral here. What I would look for is a retest of 1670, and if it holds below, then we're likely to see a move back up. So for now, bias is neutral for gold, and the level to watch here is 1670. Should it go through though, then it can go all the way into 1650. So for now, it's neutral. Oil here, oil of course tanked, and we have all, of course, seen all the headlines about the contracts, May contracts that were expiring today, and people liquidating their positions. Now, we are running out of storage facilities for oil. That's a problem. Low demand is a problem. So even with the production cuts, we still have an oversupply of oil. So combination of all of that, we have a big drop. So traders are spooked right now, and they have been liquidating their positions. So with this one, it's still bearish, but it has dropped a lot. I was looking for it to go into like 17 or even 18, 17 level, but it went all the way into 9.80. So that's quite low. I would look for a pullback here because that's quite a drop. We can look into maybe 18, 19 level for a pullback, and then it could come back down, or it can go all the way into this 20.80. So we'll just have to see. Right now, this is a little too volatile. And the push really is to the downside, so bearish bias overall, but watch out for a pullback because these sudden moves do tend to get retraced. Copper, same thing here, a huge drop in copper, and of course this one pulled back here. So there's still bearishness in this, but what can happen here is that price drops, and somewhere in there it can go back up. So we'll have to see where it wants to turn around from, because a lot of times this may not go all the way into the bottom. So bias right now is bearish, but I would keep an eye on these levels here. So let's put some targets in terms of our targets here. First target is 2.18, and then below that we're looking at 2.14. So bearish bias for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin still holding below this resistance level that we had talked about yesterday, 69.65. So bias is still bearish. As long as it holds below this level, I would look for a drop. Target here is 65.20. And should it go through that, next target is 6,300. So bearish bias here for Bitcoin. Equity markets here, we saw a nice drop here in the equity markets, which we were expecting yesterday. So bearish bias here. In terms of pullback here, let's take a look. So we may get a shallow pullback just into 27.50, or we can get a pullback into 27.75, even potentially higher into 27.95. So 2,800. So let's say 27.50 or 2,800. Those are the two levels I would keep an eye on here. So for now, bias is bearish. Next target is 2,700, and then below that we are looking at 2,650. So bearish bias still for S&P 500. So the move that I'm expecting is something like this. Nasdaq here, this one's looking bearish as well. This went right through our two targets all the way into this 83.50 level. So bias is bearish. In terms of a pullback, we could get a shallow pullback into 8,500 and then a drop, or it may go slightly higher into 85.50 level before it drops. So I would keep an eye on those two levels. In terms of our targets here, I'm looking at, so first target is basically the retest of this, but if we retest of the bottom essentially, but if you ignore that, next target is 82.35, and then below that we are looking at 8,100. So bearish bias here for Nasdaq as well. Dow Jones here, this one looks bearish as well, which we were expecting. In terms of a pullback, I would look at 23,350 level potentially. First target is 22,620, and then we're looking at 22,280. So bearish bias here for Dow Jones as well. DAX here, this one's looking bearish. As we can see, price is still stuck in that range. It came into the bottom of the range here. Now watch out for support here, because last time price was here, we did see price turn around. So there was a nice bearish candle close right into the support, but then it bounced off towards the top of the range, and now it's back again. So just be cautious with the support. If it doesn't go through the support, it can turn around. But for now, bias is bearish. Next target here is 98.50. Chill, let's pull back a little. So actually 10,000 and then 98.50. So bearish bias here for DAX. FTSE, this one as well, dropped. This one, as we can see, this is where it's been trading. Overall, there's a big range here that's been trading in. It's almost into support, so watch out for that. First, so bearish bias here. 55.85 is the first target, and then below that we're looking at 54.50. So FTSE is also looking bearish. Nikkei here, we have a nice bearish candle close here, as we can see with this as well. It's been trading in a range for the last couple of weeks now. With this one, again, we have to be careful about the support here at 19,000. So once it goes through that, so bias is bearish. Next target is 18,675. And then we're looking at 18,500. So bias is bearish for Nikkei as well. So that's it for today. Have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.